Um, 12 tablespoons of butter, 2 cups freshly grated Parmesan cheese, 1 cup heavy cream, 1 cup milk. This is how to make the sauce Alfredo. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ingredient, 6 ingredient, and without this you cannot make lovely Alfredo sauce. So just like this, Elements of Art needs those ingredients. To make an art, you need ingredient. We call that Elements of Art. So what are they? The first element is dot. So if you use dot, sometimes you can create a texture. Depends on how much you put, you can create a value. There are many things you can do. If you use the dot only to create artwork, we call that technique stippling. Some uses dot as a main ingredient, but not necessarily only dot. So we have a dot. And the next in element is line. We have many different kinds of line. Very thin line, very thick line, curvy lines, straight lines, very geometric lines, crossing lines, hatching, right? So after that, if I remember the Paul class said line is the dot taking a journey. If that journey ends, let's say you have a line taking a journey and then it stopped, then we call that shape. Shape is two-dimensional. So we have a geometric shape, we have an organic shape. So trees, drawing of trees, those are shapes. Next in item, what if shape is in 2D, what if someone try to draw 3D? We call that form. So rather than just the box, what if I decide to add a little bit of dimension to it? We can draw the dimension by adding the side pieces, or you can draw by putting the value and creating the shadow. Light sources here, right? We call that form. Same thing like a shape. We have an organic shape. Again, the tree will be a very excellent sample. And geometric shape. These are geometric shapes. So we have a dot, line, shape, form, and next in item is space. Whenever we create something, let's say this is a paper, and between these two we have a space here. So once you draw something in, we call this positive space. And what's surrounding them? Negative space. So there are two kinds of space, positive, negative. So next item is color. So if you start using, let's say, blue, red, yellow, we call these primary colors. Color has hue, intensity, and value. Value we often separated to discuss. Intensity is how bright or dull it is. Once you start mixing the colors, color becomes duller. We are controlling the intensity. The value is light or dark, but we're going to talk about it a little bit later. So we have 6 elements so far. What is the next item? Texture. Once I start using the dot, once I use lines, dot, we are certainly creating a texture. So most of the time, texture is created by dot, line, and even colors. And of course, all of them can participate on how to create texture. And next item, the last one, value. Remember, we discussed briefly in color. The value is how light or dark something is. Okay, so let's say I want to create a value. Then suddenly you start becoming really dark. Then I just create a value changes from light to dark. So whenever you have a color, if you add white, it's a tinting process, it gets lighter. If you start mixing it with the black, it gets darker. We call that shade. Okay, so these are the items. So we have a dot, line, shape, form, space, color, texture, and value. So what does it look like in real art? Here's the sample of Ross Bleckner. He uses dots to create artwork. And here's another sample, the Roy Lichtenstein's artwork using the dots as a main ingredient. He's the pop artist, so it looks like a cartoon. And here's another sample of dots. Here's a Mel Bachner, right? Robert Morris, using the dot as their main ingredient. How about the line? Some artists uses very more like mark making lines. This is a Cy Twombly's. And very free. And some people uses little bit of textured lines. If you look at it carefully, you can see the textured lines. And this is a Solowitz. And some people uses very tiny lines. If you look at it carefully, this is all like very short length lines to create an artwork. And the last in line is this one. So all these squiggly lines, straight lines combining together, creating the value. So how about the shape? Here's Malevich's work, creating all these different kinds of shape. And this is using the dot, it is splashing with the toothbrush. Sometimes you can use that, or a sprayer. And you using the negative space, creating the shape. And that was a 2-dimensional. 3-dimensional using 3-dimensional structure to show form at Ruscha's work. And space. See how Penck create all this negative space packed with other items, but still in between there are plenty of negative space, breathing space. Right? So positive space, negative space, positive space, negative space. And next one is a color. This is color field artist, Morse Ruse. And look at all these colors going downward. And Alexander Calder's usage of primary colors. And we have a value, light and dark. So this is how they uses different things to create artwork. Lastly, look at this texture that Richter created. So this is how they use elements of art to create artwork. Okay? All right?